Hey everyone, my name is Alyssa and I'm the Arts and Entertainment Editor of Harker Aquila. This year, we will be introducing Book Corner, where our journals and staff members will produce short reviews on one nonfiction book that they've chosen to read. This project is intended to provide inspiration for our upper school community to help select a compelling piece of nonfiction. To kick things off, we've had the great opportunity to speak with upper school librarian Amy Pellman. She shares some of her favorite nonfiction books that she's read recently. And whether that's natural sciences, personal memoirs, or investigative reporting, we hope that you enjoy Ms. Pellman's recommendations and that you look forward to Aquila's new book corner.
The first one that I'll tell you about is called The End of Everything, Astrophysically Speaking, by Katie Mack. It is very unusual for me to talk about a hard science book, let alone theoretical physics. But Katie Mack has this uncanny ability to make these theories accessible. She's taken on explaining to us 4 or 5 different theories of how the universe might actually end. One of them is called the Big Crunch, where the universe is expanding, and so as like a balloon, it might pop and come back together, and that could happen at any moment. And if that does, we're all just gone in a second. The thing I like about it is it constantly gets me to that place where I'm thinking on this non-human scale, on cosmic scale, which is totally amazing. And if you're ever looking for sort of an escape from real life, thinking cosmically will really do that for you. So this is just a really fun book. And the thing that I love most about it is she's funny. Hidden Valley Road is just an incredible piece of reporting on the topic of schizophrenia using this family. This family had 12 kids, and the father was a little bit distant and very into his own kind of hobbies and things like that. So imagine, trying to raise 12 kids. It's a tough thing already when the father's not super engaged. And the mother was very interested in having them being seen as a perfect suburban family. And by the time it was all said and done, 6 of the boys were diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they had to endure just terrible things that happened as a result of this mental illness. There was sibling sexual abuse, there was murder, suicide. The family really fell apart as much as the mom was trying to hang on to this sense of being, normal in control. It just imploded. And all along, the author is giving us the history of our understanding of this terrible, terrible illness. And this family was very integral in the way that we understand its genetic basis. I mean, schizophrenia is just a fascinating illness, and it's heart-wrenching, but it's also just really fascinating, and this book is really well written. I always like to read books about animals. So when I saw a couple of animal books on best of 2020 lists, I sort of gravitate towards them. Carl Safina is a respected journalist in the field of animal science and behavior. And in this one, he has a really interesting thesis in that, we don't really think of animals having culture. We think of people having culture. And culture helps us survive and adapt. But what he's doing is really proving that animals have culture too, and it's incredibly important to their survival. And he uses 3 animals as case studies: the sperm whale, the scarlet macaw, and chimpanzees. And he goes really, really deep into each animal, and you learn just a tremendous amount. I thought that this was a phenomenal book. I actually listened to it this last summer. Kathy Parkhang is a poet, and this is a book of essays where she explores race, and specifically her Korean American identity. She grew up in Los Angeles, and she's really just sort of trying to find her voice and her power and grapple with being Asian American. And it really intersects and interweaves a lot with the Black experience that we're sort of awakening to right now, and ways in which she relates and doesn't relate to it. And of course, she's a phenomenal writer, so it really probes into feelings of identity and what it means to be Asian, and what it means to kind of own your power and own your experience. This one just sort of blows up our whole idea of race in the United States. She makes this very compelling argument that the framework that allows racism to occur is that we have a very strong caste system in place that's been in place since 1619, since the first slave ship landed in the United States. And she explores this idea of how arbitrary having a hierarchy based on race is. She uses the proposed caste system by Nazi Germany and then the caste system in India. And she draws parallels and uses them as sort of comparison points for the American caste system, and points out just really disturbing things like how Germany actually looked to the United States as inspiration because of the fact that there was mass killing and mass oppression without it being really seen as a big deal and really being very called out. It's just very well researched and very compelling and very important for us to zoom out even further on our issues of race in the United States and kind of what we're built on so that we can start doing the work of taking down that structure. And the last one I have is a memoir by a poet named Syed Jones. Before he published his memoir, he was actually a acclaimed poet. And this is a memoir of growing up Black and gay in the South. So all of those things kind of combine to make life quite difficult, identity and things like that really difficult. And he was also raised by a single mother who was Buddhist, but his grandmother helped raise him, and she was evangelical Christian who actually believed both he and his mom were going to go to hell. So that added an extra layer of difficulty. She loved him. They had really important relationship. She helped care for him. At the same time, she could never support his being gay. And it's told in very short bursts of memory of his life growing up and sort of the evolution of coming into his own. It can be quite painful at times. Before he understood the pain and self-acceptance that he needed to achieve, he found himself in really terrible situations where he was very badly mistreated, mostly in sexual situations by other men. It kind of explores a little bit about power structures and how it can be used in that way. But he kind of had to go through all of those things to come through the other side and become, the artist that he became. And it's just a very powerful memoir.